Welcome to our deep dive into the Inca Empire.
Okay.
But instead of like a typical chronological approach, like starting at the very beginning of their civilization, we're going to jump right into a chilling discovery.
Oh.
Child mummies found at the summit of a volcano.
These mummies were discovered on Volcan Lulayaco in Argentina, and they are remarkably well preserved. After more than 500 years, their clothing remains intact and their peaceful poses suggest a ceremonial sacrifice. It offers a unique window into the Inca belief system and their connection to the natural world.
Wow, yeah, it's incredible to think about these children. La Doncella, a 15-year-old girl, La Niña del Rayo, a 6-year-old who was struck by lightning after her death, and El Niño, a 7-year-old boy. Each mummy has these unique details, providing clues about their lives and roles in this ritual. What stands out to you most about this discovery?
I'd have to say the most fascinating detail is that they were found adorned with necklaces made of spondylus shells.
Spondylus.
Yeah. And these shells originate from the coast of Ecuador, thousands of kilometers from the Andes. So this begs the question, how did these shells end up on a volcano summit?
Yeah, it's like finding a seashell in the middle of the desert. It really speaks to the vast reach of the Inca Empire and its sophisticated trade networks. These shells weren't merely decorative. They held deep cultural significance. The Incas considered spondylus the red gold, a symbol of fertility rain in the sea.
Exactly. Their presence in the Andes highlights the Incas' complex understanding of the interconnectedness of nature. To grasp the significance of this sacrifice, we need to understand the rise of the Inca Empire. Imagine the Andes Mountains, a harsh, unforgiving environment where communities relied on reciprocity and shared labor for survival long before the Incas.
And that brings us to the Midas system, right? Instead of money or personal wealth, everyone contributed their labor to the state, ensuring everyone's needs were met. It was a collective responsibility.
Precisely. The concept of individual land ownership was foreign to them. The land belonged to the community, and everyone worked together for the common good. This Midas system was a cornerstone of their success, enabling them to build impressive infrastructure and manage their vast empire.
You mentioned that Inca only refers to the last 100 years of a much longer Andean history. So who were these people before they became the Incas?
Well, the Inca Empire was the culmination of thousands of years of cultural development in the Andes. Different groups, traditions, and knowledge merged, creating the foundation upon which the Incas would build.
Okay, so let's delve into the Incas themselves. Their origin story, like many ancient cultures, is steeped in legend. We have the tale of the Ayer brothers emerging from a cave guided by a golden rod to the valley where they would found Cuzco, the heart of their empire.
The legend of the golden rod is symbolic, foreshadowing the wealth and power the Inca Empire would attain. Cuzco, nestled in the Andes, became their capital, a sacred city from which their influence radiated.
But the real turning point came with Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, often called the transformer of the world. He's credited with leading the Incas to victory against the Chancas, a rival group that threatened Cuzco.
Pachacuti's victory was pivotal. He envisioned a unified empire and set about achieving it through a combination of military strategy, diplomacy, and the remarkable Midas system we discussed earlier.
Yeah, their expansion was rapid. They incorporated neighboring groups, offering them protection and access to Inca knowledge in exchange for allegiance. It wasn't always peaceful, though. The story of the Huancavilcas serves as a chilling example of what happened to those who resisted.
Right. The Huancavilcas, who rebelled against Tupac Inca Yupanqui, Pachacuti's son, faced brutal consequences. A tenth of their population was executed, and surviving leaders were permanently marked as a warning against defiance. This event reveals the darker side of the Inca Empire, the force they used to maintain control.
This brings up an interesting point. Despite wielding such power, reciprocity remained a fundamental principle in Andean culture, shaping their interactions with each other and the divine. It wasn't simply about material exchange, but about maintaining harmony and balance.
Absolutely. Reciprocity was woven into the fabric of their worldview. It was about ensuring the continued flow of energy between people, the state, and the gods. To understand how this played out in their daily lives, we need to look at the structure of Inca society. It was highly organized with distinct social classes and a clear hierarchy.
At the base of this structure was the Ailu. Could you tell us more about this fundamental social unit?
Sure, the Ailu consisted of families, often extended, who lived and worked together, specializing in various crafts and agricultural tasks. Picture these close-knit communities supporting each other and contributing their skills to the collective good.
And speaking of skills, the Incas were incredible innovators, particularly in agriculture. Think about the moray agricultural terraces, these breathtaking circular structures built into the mountainside. They were like agricultural laboratories, allowing them to experiment with different crops and microclimates.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about their ingenuity and adaptability. They weren't just surviving, they were actively expanding their agricultural knowledge to ensure a stable food supply for their growing population.
Of course, we can't forget the remarkable road network, the Kapaknyan, stretching thousands of kilometers across the empire. These weren't simply dirt paths. They were meticulously engineered, featuring bridges and tunnels. Along these roads were rest stops called tambos, placed at regular intervals.
Imagine these tambos as bustling hubs of activity, offering travelers food, shelter, and a place to rest. These roads were the arteries of the empire, facilitating trade communication and the swift movement of armies.
And sprinting along those roads were the chaskis, the empire's messengers, carrying messages and goods with astonishing speed. It's mind-boggling to think about how they used this sophisticated network to maintain communication across such vast distances.
It's a testament to their organizational skills and resourcefulness. And speaking of documenting information, we can't overlook the quipu, their unique system of knotted cords. It wasn't writing as we know it, but a complex way of recording information, tracking resources, and even telling stories.
The quipu remains a fascinating puzzle. We're still unraveling its secrets, but it clearly demonstrates their advanced cognitive abilities and desire to organize information in a way that was uniquely theirs. Now, shifting gears from these incredible feats of engineering and organization, no discussion of the Incas would be complete without mentioning Machu Picchu, one of the most iconic archaeological sites in the world.
Machu Picchu is a masterpiece of engineering and architecture, a testament to Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui's vision. Imagine a city nestled high in the Andes, blending seamlessly with its surroundings. It's a place where ceremonial, residential, and defensive purposes converge.
The agricultural terraces, the temples for worship, the strategic defenses, it's all designed to exist in harmony with the environment. And then you have these enigmatic structures like the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun. It's believed to have been used for astronomical observation and timekeeping, showcasing their deep connection to the cosmos.
And let's not forget the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Three Windows. Sacred spaces reserved for the Inca elite, where they conducted rituals and honored their deities. Machu Picchu offers a glimpse into their spiritual beliefs and their profound reverence for nature.
But one of the most perplexing questions surrounding Machu Picchu is why it was abandoned and forgotten for centuries. What happened? Was it disease, war, or something else entirely?
It's a question that continues to captivate archaeologists and historians. We have theories, but no definitive answers. Perhaps it was a combination of factors or something we haven't even considered yet. This very silence only deepens Machu Picchu's mystique.
And that brings us to the final chapter in this part of our deep dive, the fall of the Inca Empire. It's a story of internal strife and the arrival of a new, unanticipated threat.
Sadly, the seeds of their downfall were sown within their own ranks. When Huayna Capac, the Inca ruler, died, a power struggle erupted between his sons Huáscar and Atahualpa, plunging the empire into a devastating civil war.
This internal conflict significantly weakened the empire, leaving them vulnerable to what was about to unfold. The arrival of the Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro, who landed on the shores of South America in 1532.
The arrival of the Spanish wasn't just a historical event, it was a clash of worlds, of cultures and technologies that would irrevocably alter the course of history. The Spaniards, with their advanced weaponry and horses, which were utterly foreign to the Incas, possessed a distinct military advantage. However, their conquest wasn't solely about brute force.
It was about strategy and cunning too, right? They exploited the existing divisions within the Inca Empire.
Exactly. Atahualpa, who had emerged victorious from the Civil War, saw the Spanish as potential allies against his brother's remaining supporters. He severely underestimated Pizarro's ambitions, who was fixated on the Incas' wealth and power.
And that miscalculation proved fatal. Atahualpa, believing he had the upper hand, agreed to meet with Pizarro in the city of Cajamarca. And this meeting, it became a pivotal moment in history. Instead of diplomacy, the Spanish, despite being vastly outnumbered, ambushed Atahualpa's entourage.
It was a shocking display of Spanish ruthlessness. They captured the Inca emperor and massacred thousands of his unarmed followers. The Incas were simply unprepared for this new style of warfare.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast to the Inca emphasis on reciprocity and balance. It makes you wonder what went through their minds as they encountered these newcomers, who seemed driven by such different values.
The capture of Atahualpa threw the Inca Empire into disarray. Pizarro, recognizing the power he now held, demanded a staggering ransom for the emperor's release, a room filled with gold and silver.
And incredibly, the Incas, desperate to have their emperor back, agreed to the terms. Can you imagine the scene? Temples and palaces being stripped of their precious metals, tons of gold and silver being transported to Cajamarca in a desperate attempt to secure Atahualpa's freedom.
It speaks to the Inca belief in the sanctity of their emperor and the lengths they were willing to go to ensure his return. But even after fulfilling the ransom, Pizarro, consumed by greed and lust for power, betrayed his word and executed Atahualpa.
Wow, this betrayal, it effectively decapitated the Inca Empire, marking the beginning of their downfall. Pizarro's actions demonstrate the clash of worldviews at play. The Incas, operating within a system of reciprocity, were ill-equipped to deal with such blatant disregard for agreements.
The death of Atahualpa ignited a wave of resistance across the empire. Despite their losses, the Incas fought valiantly to defend their homeland, employing their knowledge of the terrain and utilizing guerrilla tactics.
We have stories of leaders like Manco Inca Yupanqui and Tupac Amaru who spearheaded these fierce rebellions. They managed to score victories against the Spanish, keeping the spirit of resistance alive for decades.
Their resilience is remarkable. But ultimately, the superior weaponry, the devastating impact of European diseases, and the lingering internal divisions proved too much to overcome.
The Spanish conquest wasn't just about military dominance. It was a cultural clash, a collision of different ways of life with tragic consequences for the Incas. Their vast empire was gradually absorbed into the Spanish colonial system.
It's a complex and multifaceted story. We've witnessed the Incas' remarkable rise, their innovations, their sophisticated social structures, and their deep connection to nature. And yet their empire was vulnerable to internal strife and the arrival of a force unlike any they had encountered before.
Their story is a potent reminder of the fragility of power and the complexities of cultural exchange. It makes you wonder, though, how did Inca culture and traditions persist despite this conquest? How did their worldview adapt and evolve within this new reality?
Yeah, it's fascinating to think that even though the Inca Empire fell, their influence didn't just vanish.
You're right. Many aspects of Inca culture were woven into the new social fabric. The Spanish, while imposing their own systems, also recognized the effectiveness of certain Inca practices. Take the Midas system, for example.
Yeah, you're right. Although they adapted it to their own benefit, unfortunately turning it into forced labor
Right.
for their mines and plantations. Yeah, it's a dark chapter in the story.
It certainly is. But the point is that the Inca way of life, their agricultural knowledge, their textile traditions, their social structures, they didn't just disappear overnight. They were integrated into the daily lives of the Andean people.
And we see this legacy even today, right? In Andean communities, they're weaving their festivals, their deep connection to the land. All these elements carry echoes of that Inca past. Precisely. And that brings us back to the mystery of those child mummies. They weren't merely victims of a brutal sacrifice. They were, in a sense, ambassadors. They carried with them in their clothing, their hairstyles, the objects buried with them, a whole world of meaning.
Yeah, they're like time capsules, offering us a glimpse into the Inca belief system, their understanding of life and death,
Yeah.
their relationship with the mountains and the cosmos.
Think about it. They were chosen for this ritual, sent to the highest peaks to commune with the gods. This speaks volumes about the importance of mountains in their worldview. They were sacred spaces, bridges between the earthly realm and the divine.
And the spondylus shells found with them, those precious symbols of fertility and rain, brought all the way from the coast. It's as if they were trying to connect different parts of their empire to create a harmonious balance between the mountains and the sea.
It underscores the Inca belief in the interconnectedness of everything, the natural world, the human world, the spiritual world. They were all part of a delicate web, and their rituals, their sacrifices, were all aimed at maintaining that balance.
So after this deep dive into the Inca Empire,
Yeah.
what can we learn from their story? For me, it's a lesson in adaptation and resilience, in finding ways to thrive in a challenging environment.
They teach us about the importance of community, of shared responsibility, of reciprocity. These are values that are perhaps more relevant now than ever.
As we wrap up, I'm left with a sense of wonder and a profound respect for the Inca civilization. Their empire may be gone, but their legacy continues to inspire.
Their story reminds us that even in the face of immense challenges, human ingenuity, creativity, and a deep connection to nature can create something truly remarkable. So keep exploring, keep learning, keep asking questions. The Andes, with its ancient whispers and hidden treasures, has much more to reveal.